just in there, so they just hand off from one account to another. So Zelle does not report to the IRS.
Siri or Google will be advanced enough when you can say, "Where are my keys?"
I'm talking to Siri.
Oh, sorry.
So
That's okay. You opened up
if you're using
order
it for
of
a side
service. I guess that means
business,
a hint.
if you're
I don't
worried
know.
about
I should like the
having
first
to
scandal.
forced to report,
There.
Zelle is the way to go.
You are you, congrats.
But in
You
most,
are you
most
at
banks,
the
you have to have a bank account in order to use it.
Oh, yeah.
So copy transfers are free. That's the good part. If someone can pay, well, you can set it up either your email or phone number.
Okay.
So you can give somebody. It depends on how you set up your set up for both.
Well, there's, okay. So much.
We have the summertime blues.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
I think that's the words of Kathy. She likes to color coordinate the candles.
Okay.
I keep trying to find somebody that can convince me it's a good thing for society. Reading books these days.
It depends on your use case. It is a valid form. I've been involved.
I like the new stuff on the
Why is that?
10:28 video. I had just started my son to,
That's me. I'm a finance guy. I'm buying books and I'm reading them.
Yes.
Get the words out. Mailing list for the newsletter.
I am.
You are maintaining that.
Yes.
Neither Deb Bielik nor I are getting the newsletters.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't know if we need to maybe go over that list. Because if we got dropped off, some others might be.
And you check your spam.
I didn't do that. I just said
Spam and Gmail, updates and all those different things. Because since it's a long list and it's part of it, Google or whoever might say, "Oh, that's." But I'll make sure you're on it.
Depends on. I'm not going to try and convince you. I've been training it for a long time. The only digital currency that I'll deal with.
yes.
All the other multi-currency
There's like 20 or 30 of them. When you pull up CNBC,
there's like 10,000.
they've got that long list on CNBC.
That's the short because there's so many. I'd say, with the exception of Bitcoin, they're all doing the thing. It's only a question of time. The whole
Trump's trying to.
We don't have a minister. Never do.
60 minutes in they earn fees. Hundreds of millions of
No, it's just.
I'm trying this new iPad thing. It doesn't make sense how that works today.
Cheers. Oh, yeah. I know it's fine. Oh, I should.
Of course, this shirt doesn't have a top.
I understand.
Hi.
Your measure of validity should be how many.
I don't think you got him. Except for the snow. You're trying
That's
to
what
get.
we're feeling. For candidate that I'll make sure you don't get regulated. Sorry. That sounds good.
in faith and hope and charity.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So be patient. I'm trying to use the iPad to save paper so I don't print things off, but also because my new prescription really responds well to the larger texts, and I can expand it. So my name is Bryan. For those of you that don't know me, if you're joining us online, we're glad that you're here, and of course, we're glad that all of you are here with us on this bright, sunny, yet little smoky Sunday morning. Just a few announcements. As you all know, we have an offering plate in the back. We also try to keep the service to an hour. I'm pretty sure we won't go over that today. Famous last words. We'll see. But don't feel like you have to be held hostage. Today we're going to be talking about transformation. I had several ideas floated to me for the summer services themes. There seemed to be an overarching idea that we see the transformation in our new UU shared values, and we haven't really talked about that as much, and what does that look like, and it seemed to float through a lot of the ideas. So we'll be talking about that today. Our final summer service is next month, August the 10th, and this announcement's kind of important because we're going to be having our service at the Isaac Walton League in Bloomington, and the address is 6601 Auto Club Road, but you don't have to remember that because it'll be on all of the information in our newsletter, Facebook, website, all of those things. And after the service, we're going to have it there. They have a gallery that starts at 1, and we're going to have a potluck picnic, weather permitting, hopefully, because the grounds there, if you've never been, are absolutely stunningly beautiful. And certainly you'll be able to go to the gallery as well. So we're looking forward to that.
And Linda is one of the exhibitors in the show.
Linda has something to say.
Well, I wanted to add that the site of this is a trailhead for the Minnesota Wildlife Refuge Trail. So if you are interested in a beautiful walk along the river, you don't have to go very far, very long, but it's really a beautiful site. So when you park there, there is a house, a big red house, and that's where the gallery is. And the picnic area, weather permitting, will be right at the end of the driveway there. But then if you just walk past the driveway down the hill, it's not a real huge hill, but there's a spring down there, and then there's a really beautiful walk along the river. So if you come back that line,
That's also going to be our member reception Sunday, so if you are interested or know someone who's interested in joining, give back and we'll organize that service. So that's going to be very, very services back during our traditional year. For our summer service, that's also, it was one wonderful way to take on and participating. Thanks to everyone who was hosting. It was, I think, for lack of a better word, we're going to charge the time. And this is an announcement for Lily again. The UU just was called Accompaniment Magazine, and it does that shows on tutorials, so we're interested in that. Now there are other announcements that need to be shared with all of us.
So, this is Thursday morning, since at 9, if I'd like to join me, I'm holding the signs out over the house to protest our current administration and how the other Presbyterians are doing. So, see if you're interested in these things.
Where's the protest?
So, the protest is outside the hall. I'll have to tell you later.
Other announcements.
My children would have a system of concept at 6 slide. That's it. 7:30 to 9:15. Check it with me.
Slow, gentle breath. Exhale gently and intentionally. May we try to separate ourselves from the chaos that seems to be all around us. Join together in this time and meditate on this musical prelude.
I just have to add, though it may not be so smooth, I don't have a sustain pedal, so it might sound a little choppy.
I now invite you to remain seated and join me in our opening words. Let us gather as a circle of becoming, open to transformation, rooted in love, just as our Unitarian Universalist tradition has called us to center love as the heart of our faith.
Love that draws us into community.
Love
that demands
justice.
Love that nourishes spiritual growth.
love that honors the interdependent web of all existence.
Together we affirm that love is not static. It moves, changes, and transforms us.
It asks us to risk growth, to widen our compassion, and to embrace the fullness of life.
As we light this chalice, symbol of our faith's living flame, may it kindle in us the courage to be transformed by love.
To renew our commitments and to deepen our care.
To act with integrity and to imagine new transformative ways of being together.
Therefore, may this light illuminate the path of transformation, guiding us ever toward a more just, compassionate, and interconnected world, even as we say,
May the light be now kindled inspire us to use our powers to heal with love, to help with compassion, to bless with joy, to serve you, Spirit of freedom, in the fullness of community.
I now invite you to rise as you are able and join us in our opening hymn, which is number 145. 145.
Tranquil streams that meet and merge and flow as one to seek the sea. Our kindred hearts and minds unite to build a church that shall be free. Free from the wars of one and one to narrow thought and lifeless greed. Free from our social organs to serve the cause of human need. A freedom that reveals the past, but trusts the dawning future more, and bids the soul in search of truth adventure boldly and explore. Oh, village church, the future waits your liberating ministry. Go forward in the world above, proclaim the truth that Jesus free.
You may be seated.
Sure.
Unless you want to.
No, that's fine.
So this is our beloved community moment for today. Dakota Unitarian Universalist Church covenants to affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Today we gather together not only as human beings seeking meaning, justice, and belonging, but as a part of a vast sacred whole within which we long for transformation. The trees that breathe with us, the waters that sustain us, the soil that cradles new life, they are kin, not resources. They are teachers, not objects. In this beloved community, we affirm that nature is not somewhere outside of us to be used or forgotten. Nature is within and around us, woven into our very breath, our food, our shelter, and our joy. So we recommit ourselves to walk gently on this earth, knowing that every step has consequence, to defend the wild places not only for their beauty, but for the balance of all life, to honor traditional ecological wisdom alongside modern science, listening for the stories that land and water can tell, and to live in ways that heal rather than harm, regenerate rather than exploit, sustain rather than exhaust. May our care for the natural world be a reflection of our care for one another, grounded in humility, inspired by wonder, and sustained by love. This is our covenant, a living promise to dwell as grateful members of the interdependent web, now and for generations to come. May it be so. This is the time during our service when we share our joys and concerns. If you feel moved to do so, please come forward and share and light a candle. At the end, I'll light a final candle with all of those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. And if anybody online would like a candle lit, please let us know, and Chuck will light one on your behalf.
My second cousin, Stan Baker, died suddenly. He was in his 70s, and he is a man on whom we, I was going to say stand on his shoulders, but I know that's the expression, but that's what I mean, but I don't like those words. 25 years ago, Stan and 5 other plaintiffs sued the state of Vermont to be able to marry the same-sex partner, their same-sex partner, 25 years ago. And Vermont created civil unions. Think about how quickly that transformation came about. Really, 25 years. And in any case, this is for Stan, an uncommon man, and someone we should all be proud of.
This is for my mother. This past month, or June, it seems like we're still working on it, moved her from her independent living / some assisted into a 24/7 care, memory care, the Moments. And in the transition, she also went from being able to walk on a walker and get around just fine to July 4th, went to pick her up. She'd had a few falls, but she fell coming into our car. And fall meaning she just kind of, her knees didn't hold and she just kind of went to the ground, and we caught her, so it wasn't like any drop. But they've got her in a wheelchair. She's been on a wheelchair now since, so I don't know if she's going to be walking. So, which now means that she's going to be more tied to that place than we expected. Still thought we'd be able to take her out and do stuff. Anyway, and then yesterday I just did I keep saying my final judging meet, but this was a national meet that was held in Minneapolis, and they actually called and said, we're missing, could you come and help? So I helped judge a few sessions, so it was fun. Got to see a lot of the other judges from around the nation and all the athletes that were here.
Within the past, 2-3 weeks, I've gotten news of the deaths of 2 old friends. We weren't really close anymore, but news came from a distance, and they were both expected deaths in old age. The people were nice people of normal accomplishments. I can't sit up here and say anything great about what they did for same-sex marriage or anything like that. But it just, it gets you thinking about the good times you had together and the precious moments and just the value of normal life and how fleeting it is and how, you're so grateful for the moments you had with them, and then you try to turn that to right now and all of you and being grateful for the people that are in your life still. And anyway, it's just got me in a weird mood.
So in a couple days, Dan and I will be celebrating being together for 16 years.
Ooh, wow.
Very good. Yeah, married for 12.
You should take numbers.
Step over the tea and we lost the gum. It's just such a production. You want to light the candle? Oh my goodness.
I don't want to touch the fire.
This one will touch the fire. Okay, good to know. This is for Miss Annabelle, who turned 10 at the end of last month.
Wow.
Double digits. And pirouettes.
Well, Kelly and I spent the last week at Camp Unistar, and it was great. The day before we left for Camp Unistar, Kelly had experienced several days of back pain, and I'm like, we shouldn't go if you feel like this. Drive 4.5 hours in the car, and the beds are not good. And they're fine for normal, but she woke up feeling great. It's last Saturday, and we went, and we had a great time. We got to see some old friends. We got to make some new friends, and like you're saying, just feeling, having normal conversations, normal interactions, and music and food, and it's like, this is what real life is, and you know, we don't, for the most part, keep checking up on the news, or, you know, we don't have television or any of that stuff there, so it's nice to have a week away. And then we had kind of a adventure coming home, which we can tell you about over treats.
Driving on fumes.
So a former manager of mine who became a mentor and a friend, who I would not be where I'm at professionally today without him, passed away of pancreatic cancer.
Oh.
So there's to you, Mike.
I like your t-shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Can I light 2 candles?
Sure. Put two thoughts into one, or whatever. Either way works.
Okay, I can put 2 thoughts into one.
Oh, you didn't do it.
You do you. Bring your authentic self to the candle.
All right, I have permission.
Kill it, I've got to say.
Well, these candles are for 2 families who are in my life. One family, their adult daughter is insisting on going to Russia, even though the State Department says it's an absolutely dangerous place to go. Americans, US citizens, are frequently detained because they use them as bargaining chips. And we've all tried very hard to send her information, and she just rejects it all. So, and the other family has an adult child who is just starting to transition, and one parent is very supportive, and the other parent is not, and actually using extortion to stop the process, because including canceling college tuition, which is, yeah, so anyway, it's just good thoughts going to both families.
Are they in Minnesota, can I ask?
Which ones?
The transitioning to that
Yes,
person?
yes.
There's the North Star Promise that pays tuition. They can go to college anyway.
I didn't know about that, but
Yeah.
that's good information to pass on.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Kelly. Wow.
Why is the daughter or the granddaughter going to Russia though? Why is she going?
Because she wants to. Well,
Just wants to.
because she has met online
Ah.
someone who has invited her, and then someone who's supposedly from the State Department, our State Department, is telling her it's fine, she'll be just fine.
Oh, geez.
Also, you know, both.
Red flags are going up.
Yeah, no kidding, and she won't listen.
Wow, sounds after still.
She needs to prove herself somehow.
Last month, I went to South Carolina with my daughter and her 2 grandsons for a few days, 5 days. And we saw my brother and his wife and her son, and saw lots of things. It was hotter than blazes, and had a wonderful time.
Anyone online wish to light a candle?
Well, I'll first light a candle. It seems very, very difficult to believe that just in 2 days we will have been on this farm for a year. We closed on the farm July 15th of last year. We didn't actually move in until the 1st of August, but we did go there the day that we closed, so that counts. And it's been a very, as many of you know, trying year in many ways, from canceled grants to windstorms, the latest of which blew down our beloved sign for being there, a 23-year-old willow. But we're taking it as another sign that we need to plant our own trees, which, you know, trees are, I'm kind of partial to. And then we had a flood. A once-in-a-lifetime flood, which we didn't expect. So we're getting through that, and we have a lot of generous people who've been helping us not only with labor but also financing the things that we lost through the grant. So we're very thankful for that, and thankful for this group, without which we would have not been able to do so. So we appreciate that. And now I'm going to light a final candle for all those joys and concerns that remain unspoken. May we know that whatever befalls us in life, we are held in the loving embrace of this community. And now we say, for all of these joys, both spoken and unspoken, we hold you in our hearts. This iPad thing is kind of going fairly well. Pleasantly surprised now. Shouldn't have said that till at the end of the service. So this is, I'm not sure if you know of an author named Molly. She tends to just go like by Molly. And her author's name or pen name is Molly Crabapple. She is the author of Transatlantic Notes. She writes this poem, which is rather short, but I felt, you know, telling given the topic for today. Renovation. You are allowed to reintroduce yourself to the universe as you heal. The pieces you put back together, transformed, have much to reveal. Short, poignant. So this is not a plug, but if you happen to read my blog, you'll know that I came out of the closet one more time, and that is I am an absolute fan of musical theater. Most people are not surprised, but I talk a lot in the blog about a couple of different things, and I'm not going to rehash that here. But I will talk about a transformative experience I had to be able to root this conversation, which I see hopefully as a beginning rather than an exhaustive didactic lesson on transformation, because I don't know that we have that much time. But when I was a teacher in the Tampa Bay area, and this is back in 1999, when the whole world was about to fall apart, you know, from Y2K, if anybody remembers that. Well, it just happened to be that year that I was voted as Teacher of the Year in the 7th largest school district in the United States. What a wonderful, wonderful surprise, and I was such a grateful person to have been voted by my colleagues throughout the district for that. One of the things that was interesting is that I had developed a pretty close relationship with the superintendent of schools. It had absolutely nothing to do with the $12 million worth of grants that I had written. Right? But she was fond of me. And we had a little bit of a conversation every so often about musical theater because she was also a fan of musical theater. And she was, in fact, a patron of the musical theater program at the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center, which is now called the Patel Conservatory. But one of the things that we tended to not agree on is that her favorite musical was a new musical called, back then, The Lion King. And if people don't know, I'm pretty sure you know about The Lion King, but it is one of the very few that the story of The Lion King came first before a musical was written. And that's typically not the case. Usually the musical is written and then we keep rehashing and reinterpreting it. And I was so very doubtful. Because, you know, I'm a purist in musical theater. It has to be pure. It has to be original. We can't go to Disney and then say, oh, we're going to take a Disney rendition of something and then make it into a musical. Well, my hand was forced because she said one day, you know, I know you're not going to like this, but I have you front row seats at the Tampa Bay Performing Arts Center to go see The Lion King with me, and you have no choice because you have to appear as the teacher of the year representing our school district. Mary Ellen Elia, if you're watching this, which I'm sure you're not, but if you are, thank you. So with, you know, a curmudgeon's sort of attitude, I went. And it was within opening moments with my, you know, she made sure not only was I sitting in front row, but I was on the aisle. And the opening number, Google it, an elephant walks by me. I mean, it's not a real elephant, but it was, I'm getting cold chills thinking about it because I didn't have the right attitude and this musical was going to break me in a good way. But I literally started to bawl in front of all my colleagues that were there. I mean, nobody's surprised that I would cry, but like, you know, this is a pretty public thing for me because I had introduced the musical before as the, you know, the reigning, whatever that means, teacher of the year. And so it was a special performance for educators. And I'm sitting there, everybody's got their eye on me because I had just spoken and I'm bawling, like my mascara was running. No, I got the waterproof kind. Anyway, the entire production was so very meaningful to me. And even though I approached that time with the worst possible attitude I could conjure within my soul, it broke me. But it broke me in a transformative way. In that a preconceived notion that I had, with all judgment fully embraced, was completely and totally obliterated by such a moving and amazing performance. Now, I'm not getting any kickbacks for any Lion King performance, but I want to tell you, while I can't say it's my favorite, because there's so many favorites, it was truly life-changing for me. Even when, I don't know how they did this, and I was in musical theater when I was in high school and college. In fact, I was going to minor in it, as my blog talked about. They made that little, like, lake disappear on stage. And to this day, I don't know how they did that. But it was some sort of fabric that was pulled into some sort of hole under the stage, and it just shrunk, if you know the story. You know, everything dries up. It was very, very moving. Now, what does this have to do with all this? Well, I think you've already figured out that I'm talking about transformation within myself. And so, as I said before, I see today's presentation as a conversation starter. how do we talk about transformation in times of tremendous chaos, where we sometimes, if you're anything like me, wake up in the morning and say, oh, what did he say again? And we all know what I'm talking about. What did he do this time? And like, what's wrong with this country? And I approach some of my days like that. And tell me I'm not the only one, please. But what I am going to suggest is that times like these are some of the times when transformation within ourselves is more needed than ever. How do we engage in transformation? Well, the first thing is by actively trying to engage in transformation, it's problematic. Because I believe that even though you might have the right attitude towards transformation, you want it too much. You want to find out what that means. But in my experience, not unlike the Lion King experience, transformation often happens the most profoundly when we least expect it. And why I say this is a conversation starter is because I'm actually not going to talk a lot about transformation. What I want to suggest to you is transformation begins first and foremost with where you are right now, in who you are right now, in what you have done up till this point. Acknowledging that, understanding that we've all had failures, we've all self-evaluated failures. I use that term loosely. We've had hardships in our lives that we can't control. We fabricated hardships in our lives that we could have controlled, but we did it anyway. We also have had amazing memories, wonderful life experiences that have altered us and who we are. We have grown, we have evolved, we have changed, we have become a new person each and every day sometimes. I remember, and I know I've said this before, when I was in seminary, we had these t-shirts, you remember me telling you about that said, approach with caution, deconstruction and process. Because one day I would believe something so strongly, and I mean, you all know me now well enough, I've been here long enough that I'm sort of opinionated, and I hold fast to those opinions often, sometimes too much. And it was, in some ways, debilitating daily when I would go to a theology class and they would just had undone every foundation of everything that I believed in 2 sentences. The greatest theologians in America, teaching at United Seminary, still so. And just in 2 sentences, took everything away from me, or so I thought. But what I really had to do is first and foremost get in touch with myself and say, okay, let's think about all these preconceived notions you came to seminary with. And let's be open. Me and the mouse in my pocket, right? Let's be open. It's not that easy to be open. Well, my idea that we need to meet ourselves where we are right now and meet each other where we are right now. Come together in this community where we are right now. And in every way, shape, or form, everything that we say, everything that we do, everything that we plan, be open to the possibility of transformation, of believing something completely different tomorrow, embracing doing things in a completely different way tomorrow than you did today. Well, I approached this iPad thing with fear and trepidation, not quite as much disdain as I did the Lion King, but it's nerve-wracking to change. And part of transformation is about change. One of the things that I did note whenever I sent, I think it was Suki that I sent the information to about the service today, is I wanted to talk about the book that I will be publishing. Now, I'm not sure how many of you have heard the story, but I had a whole plan. I had the title, I had the outline, And I even had it put on a button for Pride last year, the more love the better. I was completely dead set on getting that book published. And I couldn't write it. I was, in some ways, almost too invested in it. And my identity was all wrapped up in it, in some way. And I realized that in order for me to move forward, I had to let go. Hardest thing in the world for me sometimes is just to let go of control, let go of an idea that I have. Not sure if I'm in good company or not, but I assume that I am. Preconceived notions, mindsets. I try to take things that I feel and attribute them to others and think that they should feel exactly the same way that I do. All of those things. And so, of course, I'm going to stick with this. Otherwise, I'm going to be a resounding failure. I've announced to everybody that I'm going to write this book. Thankfully, in this community, people are like, oh, so you changed your mind. So, next, what's going on? So I scrapped the book, and I let myself be transformed by what was on my mind. And not only did I produce, now I'm up to chapter 20 of 28, and before that an outline that was resoundingly accepted by the publisher, who said, thank God that you did this, because I didn't even like your other idea. I appreciate that, Dr. Ange. I let myself be changed. And not only did I do all that, but I have a term that has now been academically copyrighted that this didn't exist before. And that's going to be the foundation of the book. I can almost start saying it is the foundation of the book. I'm close enough to say that. And this is not about me touting my own skill and all this stuff. It's about understanding that the things that we believe in the most sometimes are the most fleeting things. And that's very difficult to hear. The things that we assume probably is a better way to say it than believe in, because we believe in a lot of things. But I mean more of the assumptions that we believe in are sometimes the things that get in our way of moving forward, not just individually, but communally. During the council meeting, I mentioned this. This is kind of an interesting individual thing. I know Kathy hopefully doesn't mind that I say this, but I texted Kathy yesterday and said, I've been feeling guilty about not going to all these marches in the cities because it's a little bit of a trek from Waseca to come and go march and be exhausted and drive back exhausted. So I've been feeling guilty because when in my younger days, I was out there being arrested and all that stuff. And I'm like, what are you doing, Bryan? Well, yesterday, I drove in, admittedly, to go get a cup of coffee that was way overpriced in this town of Owatonna near Waseca. And there were 300 people marching for peace and civil rights in Owatonna, a small rural town in southern Minnesota. People really should take notice of things that at least 300 people, the news said. And I got out of my truck and I walked. I didn't have a sign. Next time I'll have a sign. I'm sure I can come up with something creative. But I was there just for a few minutes and I had to walk with them. I just had to walk with them. It made me feel good. And why is that transformative? Because I had preconceived notions about how a small, rural, southern town might be. Now, if you've read my blogs, I'm pretty much in love with Waseca, but Owatonna hasn't been on my radar screen. And I live equidistant between the two. And by just being with those people who are standing up against the chaos, standing up against would-be kings, standing up against war that's burgeoning ongoingly, I felt a sense of transformation. Like, I'm proud to be a part of this larger community. I'm proud to be friends with these people now, new friends, And of course, we all have iPhones or Androids, and we're all texting each other and changing numbers. I had just now quadrupled the amount of local friends that I had, of all ages, of all colors, of all orientations. I didn't even know that Owatonna had such a large gay community because of my preconceived notions, right? So I'm doing a lot of confessing here. And I'm not going to be able to give you a lot of information about answers of how to engage in transformation, but my hope is with this small presentation to share with you that it starts within you and dismantling the assumptions that you have that have focused you on different things other than growth, other than opening minds, opening hearts, especially our own. It starts with you seeing where you are, admitting that you are a person who may have made some malformed assumptions along the way. And open yourself even to the most difficult changes, because you never know what might be able to come from that. And I say that not only to you individually, but now that I've been here a couple years, I say that to you communally as this congregation gathered, that we are a people of love, right in the center of that shared values thing that we now have. Shared values thing, that was really definitive, Bryan. But you know what, the graphic, the UU shared principles graphic that has love in the center. Transformation is only one spoke of that wheel. What I'm going to do then is just challenge us as a congregation as well. See where we are. See what we're doing. What's holding us back as a congregation from moving towards transformation in ways that we've never imagined possible? At one time, as I am told, this congregation was uncertain about its future. Well, the future is never certain, but the possibilities are endless. All we have to do is open ourselves to an amazing amount of possible transformation. May it be so. So I open us up for any discussion.
The reminder is good. One of my favorite quotes is, you have to take your beliefs out and review them now and again, otherwise they become habits. So the reminder is always good.
So I'm an agile coach by profession, so my entire job is transformation on a corporate level. And it really begins with a mindset. You have to cultivate that mindset that you're open to change and willing to change, or nothing will change. Well, it will change, but it will change without you. That's right. Transformation, whether we acknowledge it or not, is one of the core forces in the universe, be it glaciers or be it that little that dollar you give to somebody on the side of the road. Everything changes.
And see, the presentation could have been that short. You see. But
I wasn't consulted.
Next time.
Next time. That's right.
That's what it is to be agile.
Thanks, appreciate that.
Maybe he said I should have him review your book before
Maybe I should.
little pamphlet.
We'll turn it into a novella.
I keep running into this quote, don't believe everything you think.
Oh, that's a good one.
And also, people who are talking about the idea that you have a brain, that's not your mind. That you can make up your mind to believe or think or feel whatever. So if you get hooked into something that gets your attention and you start following along without thinking about what this is or means or checking it out, deciding if this is really you, do you adopt this, it's kind of then becomes a habit. And maybe it doesn't suit you or fit you, but you have to step back and allow yourself to make the decision about what is your mind going to do for you. It's not automatic. I thought that was really transformational. The brain is not your mind. You control your mind.
A quote that goes really well with that is mind over matter. If you
It
don't
matters.
mind, it doesn't matter.
I like a quote from a colleague of Pete Seeger's, Lee Haves, who said, the older I get, I find my mind to be more interesting, although I don't always agree with it.
Well, as I want to say most of the time, let us continue conversation over treats. And if you would, rise as you're able and join us in our closing hymn. It is, one moment,
139.
hymn number 139.
I think you might need this one.
And so as we go forward from this place, obviously after treats, may we go forth being willing to be transformed even as we work to transform ourselves, each other, and the entire world. Go in peace.
an extra doesn't make a difference. No worries.
I've been delivering